Straight ahead on NCC News, your Syracuse Orange in a Sweet 16 date with destiny. We'll have the latest in sports.
Plus, why Central New York is doubling down and leading the charge when it comes to buying local.
Pork production on the rise here in Central New York, and I'll tell you how it's affecting local dairy farms like this one coming up. NCC News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to NCC News at 4 o'clock. I'm Jared Cram.
And I'm Rachel Marcus. The yogurt business has made a boom in Central New York, but despite this, local farmers still don't see much of a benefit. This is our top story.
The yogurt industry in Central New York has been growing steadily in the past few years, but that doesn't mean that local dairy farmers are reaping any benefits. NCC News reporter Alexa Greenberg explains how one family decided to take it upon themselves to produce locally.
That's right, Jared, and that's because instead of using local milk to produce dairy products, corporations are trucking in milk from elsewhere. It's something we see all too often. Big corporations shipping in products from out of state to get the best possible price, instead of buying local, that is.
There is two yogurt plants within Greek yogurt plants within a 50-mile range from here, and combined they're probably using 100 loads of skim milk a day. So it would have to help us somehow, but have the dairy farmers seen it in their milk checks? No.
While the Central New York yogurt industry has been on the rise for the past 3 to 5 years, local dairy farmers are not the ones providing the milk for them to use in their dairy products.
I think the companies would save a lot of money if they would get their milk and keep it here rather than paying this trucking to ship it out, ship it in, but we can't control that.
That's why the Stolfus family created their own business back in 2010 and are involved in each step of the dairy making process, from making sure the cows that produce the milk are healthy to boxing and shipping off the locally made products. At Blue Crest Farm here in Waterville, New York, about 6,000 pounds of milk is produced each day by these 65 cows. And once collected, the milk is shipped off to the family's production plant where yogurt, cheese curd, and milk are made.
We can use our own milk, make a quality product that we are very comfortable with, and also giving the farmer a fairer price for his milk, his hard work.
And already with much success, the Stolfus family hopes to continue to bring dairy products from their family farm to your table. Alexa Greenberg, NCC News.
Thanks, Alexa. And staying on the topic of local business, the Central New York region is one of thousands of areas across the country participating in Buy Local programs. Syracuse's program is called Syracuse First, and with customers buying from local stores, the campaign averaged an increase in revenue of just over 8%. That's nearly double the revenue of those cities without Buy Local programs. The Institute for Local Self-Reliance released the survey, and it considers Central New York one of the most highly engaged business regions when it comes to buying local.
Empire Brewing Company is one of many businesses participating in Syracuse First. Empire says they were one of the initial members of the program and that buying local is important for the economy.
If we buy a chicken from Wegmans for $3, probably 25 cents stays local, but if you buy a chicken for $3 at the farmer's market, probably $2.75 comes back on the local economy.
The brewery's dedication to supporting local businesses has received national recognition. David Katleski was awarded the FX Defender of Industry Award yesterday for his support of small and independent brewers. Well, the SU basketball team will be playing in our nation's capital tonight in a Sweet 16 game against Indiana. We'll have the full coverage later on in the show, but right now, sports reporter Heather Fontaine is here to tell us what we need to know heading into tonight. Heather, it should be quite the matchup.
That's right, Jared. We've got a huge game tonight. It's Syracuse versus Indiana University in the Sweet 16. It starts at 9:45, and you can tune in at CBS.
But it seems like every time there's a new game coming up, there's a new scandal coming up.
We'll have more on that in sports.
In other news, the Firemen's Association of the State of New York is announcing today that they'll be joining forces with Nice and Easy grocery shops and Dunkin' Donuts to help recruit volunteer firefighters. More than 200 stores in upstate New York will post lawn signs and hand out pamphlets to promote the need for volunteers. The partnership was announced earlier this afternoon at the Solvay Fire Department.
It is an honor to be able to work with private sector partners to help recruit our firefighters. It's our pleasure to continue to be a part of this Recruit New York effort, to continue to bring firefighters into our community, to build on that brotherhood and sisterhood that we have developed in the fire service, and we look forward to continuing that. Again, thank you.
The deal is part of a FASNY recruitment campaign called Recruit New York. The number of volunteer firefighters statewide has dropped by 20,000 in the past 15 years.
It may not feel or look like spring outside, but one whiff inside Chuck Hafner's nursery in North Syracuse, and you'll feel like spring is in full bloom.
So we start with foliage plants that people can have indoors. We get into some color plants for Easter because everybody really wants to get a little bit of color into their lives at this time.
Hafner says business is starting off slow, but right now, things are going to be picking up very quickly. They'll be selling vegetables very soon. Right now, they'll mostly be selling indoor plants until the ground softens. If you're looking for a taste of spring, check out Chuck Hafner's on Buckley Road.
So what do Halloween and Easter have in common? Candy. Americans spent over $2 billion on Easter candy last year. That's about 7 billion pounds of candy, according to the National Confectioners Association. I'm sure kids around the nation will be satisfying their sweet tooth this weekend, earlier than usual.
This year, 2013, probably the earliest that Easter can occur. Next year, Easter's going to be in April, late April. So we're going to flip to the other end.
Wonder why that is? The Easter celebration is centered around the Jewish celebration of Passover. Passover is celebrated on the first full moon after the spring equinox, which was on Wednesday, and Easter is celebrated on the Sunday after Passover.
We had a little bit of sun this morning here in central New York. Stephanie Jacobs is out on the patio to see how the forecast looks for this holiday weekend. Stephanie?
You know, I was hoping for a little bit warmer temperatures. I don't know about that, but definitely some sun this weekend. Let's take a look at some of our current temperatures. Right now it is 46 degrees here in scenic Syracuse. It's a little bit cloudy, a little bit overcast as you can see behind me, but a little bit also brisk. A little chillier than we would like it to be right now because it is 46 degrees. We want that spring weather so badly, but hopefully it's on its way. The barometer is about 30 inches, 53% humidity. Winds, it's a little bit windy out here. You can see my hair whipping around. It's 20 miles per hour. You know what's interesting? The almanac, I always love seeing this. In 1989, it was 80 degrees. On March 28th, in Syracuse, New York. So that's incredible. In 1966, it was 13 degrees. So again, it's March. You don't know what you're going to get, whether it's going to be hot, it's going to be cold. But for the normal temperature, we're pretty close to normal, which is 48 degrees high, low 29. And as I said, it's 46 degrees right now. Sunrise about 6:53, sunset 7:27 tonight, which is great. We get those couple of hours of great springtime things we can do outside, which is really great.
Thanks, Stephanie. Coming up after the break, the former South African President Nelson Mandela is back in the hospital. We'll tell you about the recurring ailment he can't shake.
And new video from a massive landslide on the West Coast. We'll tell you why homes may still be in danger. Speaking to families affected by gun violence at the White House today, President Obama is making a renewed push for new gun control measures. With falling public support for new gun legislation in recent polls and heavy opposition from the National Rifle Association, Obama pleaded with Congress to pass new restrictions, now 3 months after the Sandy Hook tragedy.
That agony burns deep in the families of thousands of Americans who've been stolen from our lives by a bullet from a gun over these last 100 days.
Obama says he disagrees with those who say America is moving on from the horror of the Newtown school shootings. Ever since the Newtown shooting shook the world last December, police have been working on answering the million-dollar question: why 20-year-old Adam Lanza committed the massacre. Earlier today, police released new information related to the shootings. Even though the motive behind the attack is still unclear, investigators found other leads. A gun-safe 1,600 rounds of ammunition were sitting in the boys' room, as well as a holiday card by his mother. Enclosed was a check made out to Adam Lanza for the purchase of a firearm. The investigation is still ongoing and is expected to be completed by June. Officials in Washington say a massive landslide that shook dozens of homes and left some on the edges of cliffs is still active. The landslide on Whidbey Island, some 40 miles north of Seattle, shifted a quarter mile of earth and dropped it 2,000 yards down into the sea. Rescue crews had to use ATVs to reach homes that had shifted. Residents escaped before the cliff dropped, and so far no injuries have been reported. Other parts of the island have been evacuated as officials have not been able to assess the soil's integrity after the landslide.
Amid increasing tensions with North Korea, U.S. military officials announced today that stealth bombers were flown over South Korea for an annual military exercise. B-2 Spirit bombers, the crown jewels of U.S. stealth aircraft, flew some 6,500 miles from a base in Missouri to drop practice munitions and participate in military drills with South Korean forces. This comes just weeks after a similar drill sparked an angry reaction from the North Korean government. Tight restrictions and tight security. That's a reality for people in Cyprus right now as banks open for business for the first time in nearly 2 weeks. A financial freeze was lifted this morning as banks had been closed for 12 days while the government negotiated a controversial bailout agreement with the European Union. However, normal service isn't being resumed. There are strict curbs on taking money out of accounts and out of the country over fears customers would try to withdraw all their cash at once. South Africa's former president Nelson Mandela is in the hospital. The 94-year-old anti-apartheid icon is suffering from a recurring lung infection. South African government officials say doctors are attending to Mandela and ensuring he has the best possible medical care. Mandela has had a recent string of health concerns, checking into a hospital in December of last year for gallstone surgery and a similar lung ailment.
It's still pretty chilly out right now, but will temperatures finally start to heat up? Our full NCC News weather report is coming right up after the break. Things look a little brighter out there right now, and fingers crossed that the weather improves even more for this weekend. Our very own weather reporter Stephanie Jacobs is back in the studio right now to give us a look ahead at the week. Stephanie, please tell us we'll see some more sun.
You know, we will see some more sun in the next few days. Not so much warmth, like I said earlier, but the sun, that's all that matters. Right now, currently, it's 46 degrees in Syracuse. The barometer is 30.19 inches. It's 53% humidity, and the winds are 20 miles per hour. Now, taking a look over here at the northeast, the temperatures are pretty similar, you know, in the 40s. Not too much changing. Up by Canada, of course, it's a little bit chillier, but everything looks to be in the 40s. Syracuse again, 46. Oh, Buffalo, that's a little chillier. That's 36 degrees in Buffalo. Now for the national Doppler, look at that. Clear, not a lot of precipitation just right there in the middle of the United States and over there in the west. But for the most part, in the northeast, oh, a little bit of rain, let me tell you. But not so much in New York State. We're pretty clear. And like I said, New York State Doppler, a little bit in the south by Norwich. We will have a little bit of rain. But for the most part, around Syracuse, Baldwinsville, clear skies, a little bit overcast, but no rain. So that's all I ever care about is whether my hair is going to get wet. Tonight, it's partly cloudy, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds, overcast a little bit, 33 degrees, high temperature there. Now for tomorrow, forecast is going to be cloudy with a chance of rain, maybe a little bit of sun. We're hoping for sun, 45-degree high there. And now for the 5-day forecast, it is going to be 45 degrees and sunny on Friday, Saturday 46 degrees and sunny. Then we're going to have a little bit of rain. It's going to be 48 degrees on Sunday, Easter. So unfortunately, 45 degrees and snowing on Monday and 38 degrees and snowing on Tuesday.
Stephanie,
So,
when
yes.
can I get out my golf clubs? That's going to be the big question.
Well, you have 2 days. You have tomorrow and Saturday. And then
Okay.
you have to be inside for the rest of the 5 days.
Not looking forward to it. I got to start practicing up.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. This is Syracuse. You should move somewhere warmer, though.
It is Syracuse. I was inspired by the Arnold Palmer Invitational down in Orlando. Maybe I should just
yeah.
head down there permanently.
That would be a little bit smarter. That's what I'm planning on doing. Just kidding. I love it here.
Coming up after the break, students make their own predictions on tonight's big game, and a high school lacrosse team fights to defend their championship title. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. The big game against Indiana is in just a matter of hours in our nation's capital. Heather, what's the word on campus?
Well, Jared, for the second year in a row, we've made it to the Sweet 16. But how will Syracuse hold up tonight against #1 seed Indiana? Some Syracuse students are making some hopeful predictions.
In my heart, I want them to win. I think this is going to be a really tough game. I think if they win this game, I think they could go all the way. There's definitely no doubt about that.
I think if both teams play to the best of their ability, it's going to be a good game because I think Syracuse underachieved a little bit this year. They're a top 10 team in my opinion, but so is Indiana. I think if Syracuse can play well on defense, I think we got it.
Now, the last time that Syracuse played Indiana was in 1987, and the Cuse lost. The Hoosiers may be a higher seed, but Orange fans across the campus are hoping for an upset. But sometimes upsets aren't always on the court. In this case, it was in the locker room. I'm talking about former Syracuse University Athletic Media Director Roger Springfield, who pleaded guilty today to unlawfully videotaping athletes in their locker rooms on several occasions. Rogers was accused of recording more than 100 male athletes for 3 different teams in the Carrier Dome over a 10-year period. Springfield will be sentenced to 10 years probation because of the plea. Now, when it comes to championship games, it's usually hard to win the title, but often it's even harder to defend it. The Liverpool High School boys lacrosse team is realizing exactly how difficult it really is. Blood, sweat, and tears. That's what it takes to win a championship title. But the Liverpool Warriors are no stranger to it. After beating lacrosse legends West Genesee last year in the Class A Section 3 championship, it's time for the boys to get back on the field. But it's not always easy to be a winner.
It's definitely going to be a target on our back for sure. There's going to be a lot of people coming for us, and we expect that. We know that. Seniors from West Genesee, they're talking smack, telling us that they wanted to beat us, and they were on targets on our back and everything like that. A few friends from Beeville, they really want to beat us. Everybody wants to beat us.
The team faced the Cicero North Syracuse North Stars last night for the season opener and said the momentum and motivation comes from the will to win and the will to prove themselves worthy.
They're our rivals, and I want to come out here and beat them as well as we could.
Individually, just pride within our program, pride in ourselves.
Not letting down everybody else that came before us, not letting the person next to me beat me. I want to prove that I can do just as well as the seniors did last year, so it's been motivation all offseason.
The Warriors beat CNS 7-6, but even a win isn't always enough for champions.
We want to build on last year. Didn't really do that, but we wanted to build on last year. We wanted to come out flying. We did it the first quarter, but we just kind of had a lapse. I don't want to say tired beat us, but I think it might have today. And it's one big thing that our coaches tells us not to let do is tired beat us, and I think we let that happen to us today.
Still, the team has high hopes for the rest of the season.
Because we're very good at working together. We know where everyone needs to be, and we know what to do.
Warriors' next game is on Tuesday against Baldwinsville. To find out more, go to nccnewsonline.com.
Well, Heather, I know the Sharps in Vegas has us as 6-point underdogs. You think our 2-3 zone, that vaunted 2-3 zone, will be able to contain superstars like Victor Oladipo?
I have a feeling it might. You see, Indiana and Syracuse, they haven't played much, obviously, since 1987 because Indiana is in the Big Ten and Syracuse is in the Big East. They don't know how to play Syracuse. We don't really know how to play Indiana. I think as long as the defense can keep Indiana off the threes and as long as the offense can get those baskets in the hoop, I think we might be okay.
But now, speaking of the offense, that's something that Syracuse has struggled with a little bit. But going into this game, it is the Sweet 16. Do you think they'll be able to, get their act back together and be able to knock down more shots?
I mean, obviously, we're here for a reason. I know the team has been practicing all week. Boeheim is on them like crazy. We made it to the Sweet 16. There's a reason for that. It wasn't luck. It was skill and talent.
Thanks, Heather.
No problem.
Coming up after the break, a 2-year-old locksmith uses an unexpected tool to get into his sister's bedroom. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Check out this video from YouTube. Next time you hear something go bump in the night, it could be your 2-year-old toddler. This youngster managed to pick the lock of his sister's bedroom with a pair of nail clippers. Now watch as he returns to his own room and hides the evidence. And to the victor go the spoils, his sister's stuffed animal. The little guy didn't know he was on camera.
And I'll tell you, if I knew how to lockpick my older sister's room when I was a kid, I probably would have been in a lot of trouble with my parents and probably would have kept doing it, honestly. It's fun.
Yeah, you know, me and my sister and I, we shared a room growing up, so I didn't have too much it wasn't too difficult to be able to get into her room because it was mine too, but, you know, it was difficult.
Absolutely.
That's all for NCC News at 4 o'clock. I'm Rachel Marcus.
And I'm Jared Cram. Stay tuned for NCC News at 4:45. Have a great night, Syracuse.